Alright, here is the video review for the Macross Frontier VF-25A. And you'll notice that the color scheme seems a little bit more drab and generic than some of the other VF-25s, and that's because that's exactly what this is. The 25A is the generic version. It's what's generally referred to as the CF version of a valk, which is the cannon fodder version. It's what they have a whole bunch of that have a generic color scheme, generic kind of face, that you see a lot of in the background. They're not the hero mechs, they're not the main characters, but they have generally have a fleet of them. And so yeah, I didn't even know they had made this one. I just finished watching Macross Delta. I got the 31J, and I really do love the 31J. There's a lot of improvements, especially those ratcheting hips, which this one doesn't have. And I thought, you know what, hey, I wouldn't mind having a 25 again. I really like the design of the 25 because while there were certainly some advancements through the fighters over the years from the VF-1, like the VF-19, and you can especially see it from the 25 to the YF-27 to the 29 to the YF-30 to the VF-31, you can see that evolution from the Frontier Valk through the Delta Valk. But yeah, I love this one because it kind of went back to the roots. This looks like very much like a classic jet. It looks like an evolution of the VF-1, and since Delta was the 25th anniversary series, it kind of made sense. And I like that even though they may have had some different alphanumeric designations, I liked that the main Valks in Frontier kind of aped or homaged the original Valks. The Alto's VF-25F had the same similar color scheme and a vague upgraded look to the VF-1J in the original series. The Osmos 25S looked a lot like the VF-1S. Even Mikhail's 25G looked a lot like Max's VF-1A from the original series, and even went so far as to have this one has the exact same head. Max's head has the same head as the generic, or Mikhail's, in much the same way that Max's VF-1A had that kind of mono eye head that the VF-1A had. So yeah, I didn't realize they had made this. This is technically the renewal version body, although this one does not get the renewal version designation because they did not do a VF-1A in the first run of Macross Delta Valkyries. They did the 4 main Valks and then the 27, and I think they may have even done for some reason now I'm forgetting her name, but the generic 27 as well, the greenish one. But they never got around to doing a 1A or a 25A. And when I was searching, I'm thinking, like, hey, I wouldn't mind having a 25 again at some point to sit on the shelf with my VF-31. And while searching, I found that they did, in fact, make the 25A version of the mold. So I bought it, and here it is. Like I said, it's kind of the generic color scheme, but I really dig it. I have covered the renewal version before. I don't know how in-depth I'll talk about some of the features, although it's been a while, so I may go into some stuff that I've talked about before. But one of the things I love, like I said, I love the classic jet look. It looks kind of like an upgraded F-14. It's got the retractable landing gear here. You do get the stand. I'm not going to review the stand. It's the same kind of basic stand that you got with all of the Frontier Valks, even the original ones. And if you want to see those, I've done several reviews of various versions of the 25, both renewal and the original ones, so you can check back through the channel and you'll see that. But I love how just svelte and lithe the jet mode is on this. Like, you can see it does have the gun pod under there, but you know, even if you took that off, it's such a smooth, sleek underside to the jet. You can kind of tell, you know, if you're looking at it as a transforming figure, you can see where the legs and pieces go, but for the most part, it doesn't look like it should be able to transform. It's just a really nice, sleek-looking jet, and I really like that design. It does have the adjustable wings. There's a word for it, and I can't remember the whole name, but like, this is generally a storage mode. This is pretty much how it comes packed in the box, but you got different angles you can put it in, all the way out to straight wide. Personally, like, you can put it all the way wide. My favorite position is just one click back from all the way extended. I think that looks the coolest. So yeah, but it's kind of a greenish beige gray overall color with some olive and dark green highlights around it, around the cockpit here on the fins and back here on the legs, as well as underneath, and then of course the white predominantly on the underside. It does have a little cockpit that opens and the pilot figure. And it does come with like a generic pilot. If I can get my fingernail into this and pop it open. I almost had it. It's very smooth. In case you couldn't tell, there we go. So there is the little generic pilot. Let's see if I can get him up close here and really focus on him. There he is. Just a little generic pilot dude. And the seat does have, you can pull this little piece out and have a second seat, but without a second pilot, there's really not much point to it. Very similar to the way it worked on the 31J, which we've seen recently. We'll go ahead and close that back up. There we go. But yeah, all in all, a very nice, slick jet mode. Of course, being a variable fighter, it does vary. So we'll go ahead and pop the gun pod off. It just kind of tabs in here between the arms in jet mode. There's little tabs in the handle that plug into these little tabs here on the arm. Yeah, so we'll come back here. We'll go ahead and pop. I actually will lift these up. There's little tabs here that hold the legs in place. Bring them down a little bit like this. We'll go ahead and pop the shield off the rear. And close this little flap up right here. You can see the knife sticking out there. There is a little melee weapon for the jet. Come on. Have to wiggle to get it out, but yeah, little knife that can store up in the shield. Yeah, so we'll come down here. We'll bring the legs down. You actually kind of need to unhook the whole leg, unfortunately. These little pieces do come off. That helps. They pop off fairly easily because there are super parts that can go on there, and we'll show that off at the end. You bring this and detach them up here just a little bit, and that gives the arms clearance to come out from back here and swing around like here on die-cast hinges. There's a lot of die-cast in these things, very hefty. So you bring the arms down, you want to actually extend them as well. Just a little bit, rotate the hands to the side. Extend them, bend them. Extend them and bend them. There's a support strut back here that can come down and plug into the back here to support the rear panel of jet mode and gearwalk mode. What you also want to do is flip this around. This will, you don't have to use this, but it will allow you to attach the gun pod underneath gearwalk mode if you so choose. Bring that down. Reattach the legs. Come on, snap up into place. Oh, there we go. That's part of the problem. There we go. Snap these back into place up here. Arms come out, wings come back down, and the legs. I like to leave these fins out for gearwalk, but these fins do fold inside the leg there. Extend the feet and open the feet here. Flip these kneecaps down, which allows you to angle the legs all the way forward here. Make sure the support piece is plugged in to the back. There we go, just like that. Whoop. That also is a piece that comes off to allow for the attachment of super parts up here. But I'll show those off at the very, very end of the video because I did get the super parts as well. Angle him back so he stands. Angle the wings out. The shield attaches right here. And the included hands actually are adjustable. And if you remember my VF-31A review, the ones that come with it are a little disappointing. These have bent fingers, which look a lot better and can hold the gun. So you really don't have to swap out hands. You do get some alternate hands to swap out, and I'll show those off shortly. But then the legs rotate out to the side, so you get a nice A stance. And don't worry, I'll zoom it up so you can see the whole thing. But you get a really nice A stance here. Flip this up. And that's a really nice looking gearwalk mode. It looks better than a lot of the ones that have come out since. I feel like everything since the 25 just has too much stuff going on behind the hips. And while some of it does stick out here in this mode, it's just not quite as egregious as some of the later ones. And it looks really, really good in this Classic A stance. Just a really nice looking gearwalk mode. I don't know why I'm so attracted to this particular mode. I've always loved the halfway mode on these guys. Yeah, ever since I remember watching Robotech on TV when I was a kid, that's just always fascinated me. So yeah. And then to go on through full-on Batroid mode, again, go ahead and detach the legs from the side here, because this whole assembly is going to come out. Oh, I forgot to show off the gun pod. Instead of just clipping in between the hands, it's also got, there's a couple little, you can kind of see through there. There's a hole right there, and it just clips into this clip here. I'm having a hard time doing it now because I started to transform it, but see, it clips right there onto that clip, and you can have that store under the gearwalk mode. Go ahead and fold that back up into the backpack. Go ahead and fold the wings down, fold these down. So bring all this down like this, straighten the legs. You don't have to do this right this second, but it does help if you bring this down. You see there's a standard ball joint. Like that's what one of the improvements the 31J did. Everything before the J, or the 31, had these metal ball joints inside the hip, and they tend to get really loose. This leg right here, right now, is very tight. This leg on this side's a little loose. You can tighten that up with floor polish like you can with a lot of loose joints. And it's markedly improved on the renewal version versus the original versions of these guys, but the issue does still exist. It's something you'll probably have to deal with at some point. But you want to bring this up so this sticks out, and bring the legs down as far around behind here as you can, because this is going to clip in here later, and you're going to want to be able to bring these all the way around. You'll see what I mean momentarily. But until we get to that point, come up here to the front. Flip the, open up the front landing gear. Flip the nose cone down into here. And then this whole assembly back here pops up like this, which allows this whole assembly here to rotate. And you can see here's where we're going to pleg. This is going to become the crotch piece. And we need to fold these and pleg these into here. They clip in to these little gray parts right here on the white bit. And then you can rotate this around. Bring the legs down and around, because this is now the lower torso of the robot. And something is caught. I guess you don't want to plug those in quite yet, because this has to come all the way up and around. Now before we get to this, plugging this into the upper chest, you got to bring this piece back down, and you got to get under here. And it's a little trickier than it is on the J, but you got to get the whole head, this whole head assembly, to come up and pop out through here. But you have to get it to pop. You have to slide it back, and it's a little difficult to get a grip on it to do so. There we go. There we go. Push that all the way back up and up into there like that, which pops the head up, at which point this whole assembly can come over and then fit over the nose cone like that. And then you just kind of fold this down and around like that, and go ahead and reattach this little armor plate that popped off. That one does not actually pop off for the super armor. That one just decided to pop off. There we go. Turn his head around. Oh, we popped off the other super armor piece up here. It's nice that they allow you to attach it securely like that, but yeah, a little bit of a pain in the butt. Okay, so now we want to snap those pieces in right there. This whole assembly should angle forward. Bring the legs down. Don't worry, we'll get to the top. We'll get there, I promise. Stand them up. Bring this up here You can see the upper body. It's a little askew right now. We'll fix it. Bring this here, straighten his head up, make sure this whole assembly comes down and wraps around the chest, fold the wings back, stand him up a little straighter, straighten the arms. Nope, keep your, there we go. Bring these forward. Just adjust them. You can see there is the generic mono eye head. It's orange, which is nice. See how much of him we can get in frame here. And again, and then you can have him hold the gun like this. If you can actually see with a peg you're putting it on there, but yeah, it pegs onto the hand. And there he is in Batroid mode. Some decent articulation. He's got a ball joint up here on his head. He does have a waist swivel here a little bit. Just went ahead and showed it off because it was moving. Come on, hang on to his gun. You can do that. Just helps to wrap the thumb and the fingers around it tightly. And he's got ball joints here at the shoulders, up here, as well as a little bit of a hinge here to rotate these forward. He's got the ball joints at the hips. You've got lots of articulation in the leg. You've got the joint up here that was mostly used to bring him forward for gearwalk mode, but you've got a thigh swivel, a hinge knee, the extendable ankles, as well as a little bit of side to side and a lot of front to back, as well as the posable toe and heel pieces. So he's actually quite posable and fairly sturdy. Like I said, you see this hip is a little loose, so he's starting to lean a little bit. That's easily fixable with some floor polish and a known weakness of the mold, which is why so many people are rejoicing at the ratcheting hips on the 31J, because around the 30, I guess the 31 mold in particular, because that's a new thing for these guys, and it's super welcome. The extra pieces, like I said, you get the antenna on his head there. It comes installed with this very soft vinyl one, probably to keep it from snapping during shipping. It's a very soft vinyl, and if you want to have that on, it'll stay in place. This is a little warped from shipping, but you could heat it up, straighten it up, and you can leave that one in just fine. It does come with a harder plastic one that you can swap out, which is what I've done up here on the top of the head. You get 6 hands, which I have not swapped in yet. You get standard fists, the kind of karate chop salute hands, and then he's got 2 hands specifically molded to hold the weapons. You can hold the knife or put the gun pod through there, and it does hold them a little bit more securely than the attached hands, but I do like the articulated hands. They do hold the weapons decently enough, and you can get more than just the standard, than one single pose out of them. The fingers are permanently curled, so you couldn't get this karate chop pose out of them, but they're just a little bit more naturally posed, and I like being able to move them. But yeah, really nice, generic dude. I dig him. The VF-25A. Now, like I mentioned, I did get the super parts with it. You can put them on and fully transform him with them on. Although, if you go back through my video reviews, you can see how the super parts work. I don't want to wrestle with it because you can transform them technically with the parts on. It's a bit of a hassle. So instead of putting them all on and trying to do it on camera back to jet mode, I'm going to take some pictures and we're going to do a little backwards here for my usual review. We're going to end with a little musical photo montage of all 3 of his modes with the armor parts on. But yeah, there he is. Quite impressive. I wish the gun hadn't broken, but again, the gun is the least of my concerns because he can always hold it like that, and it's just as good of a gun, so I'm not super worried about that. The jet itself, very cool. But there it is, the VF-25A.